Hey guys, I'm Eric and this is Music Theory Breakdown. This video is part 1 in a 3-part series I'm doing on the Nashville Number system. And today we're talking about scale degrees. If you've already watched my other videos up to this point and you've got a pretty good grasp on the musical alphabet and specifically the major scale, something you're really going to need to know, then this video should be no problem. Once you understand the simple number system that I'm going to teach you in this video, you're 90% of the way there to understanding the Nashville Number system entirely. It's in that spirit that I'm going to teach you like I always do with an instrument in hand, so you can take the concepts you're seeing on the screen and actually turn them into real music. So with all of that said, let's get started. Welcome back, guys. Let's get to it. We're going to talk about scale degrees today, and this is part 1 in my series on the Nashville Number system. And I want to say this up front: if you can understand what I'm about to tell you about scale degrees, you are 90% of the way there to understanding the Nashville numbers, just the system as a whole. So real quick, a couple other videos you might want to watch. The major scale video that I made is going to be super important, and you could watch the musical alphabet as well if you're not familiar with that stuff. The major scale one's really important. I kind of thought about making this video and that video one and the same, but for the sake of time and just to like split the information up, make it more digestible, I made them into 2 videos. All right, so quick review. Let's talk for just a hot second about the major scale. The first thing we talked about was these whole and half steps, right? How a whole step is just, basically skipping a note you're going to go up to, from C to D, that's your whole step. Half step is half of that distance. So in this case, it's going from E to F, that's a half step. And these steps go in both directions, right? So a whole step from C to D, that's up, a whole step is still the same going down. Okay, so goes both directions. Then we talked about our major scale formula. You remember whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. We took our formula and slapped it on the piano. Okay, we walked it up there across all the various notes, and we came up with this, our C major scale. Okay, and what we're going to do today is we're going to expand on that idea using these things called scale degrees. Okay, so you'll remember that there's 12 different notes in the musical alphabet. And so what that means is since you can start a major scale on any of those 12 notes, that means there's 12 possible major scales to be had. So you can look at it like this. Here's our major scale formula. Insert whatever note you want, any of the 12 there at the beginning, and you are going to make yourself a major scale as long as you follow those rules. The thing I want to emphasize here, and I kind of said this before, is that these whole and half steps, they represent fixed distances from one note to the next, okay? And so this is a series of fixed distances. How I like to visualize it, and I think this makes a lot more sense, is you take your major scale formula, the little arrows, and we have our fill in the blanks, and the blanks represent the possible notes that could go there. And so, whatever note you put there at the beginning, that's going to determine what the other 6 notes in the scale are going to be. Okay, so fact, there are exactly 7 different notes in every major scale. In fact, there's 7 unique notes in every major scale. So what I mean by that is no 2 scales are the same. Both the order that you play the notes and the actual set of notes that are in it, those are going to be different amongst the 12, major scales. And so scale degrees work like this. Now that we know that there's always going to be 7 notes in a major scale, we can look at here's our C major scale. We go, okay, there's 7 notes. Why don't we just assign each of them a number? Okay, and so now, note 1 is a C, note 2 is a D, note 3 is an E. The, music theory term for all of this, how we're going to talk about this is scale degree. So scale degree 1 is in a C major scale is C. Scale degree 2 is D. Scale degree 3 is E. If I were to ask you what's scale degree 6 in a C major scale, you could tell me it's going to be A. Okay, so let's go back to our fill in the blanks graphic here. So now that we know that we can apply this scale to any of the 12 notes and that these distances don't change and that there's always 7 notes, instead of filling in these blanks with just the set of notes from one major scale, why don't we fill them in with the notes, or I'm sorry, with the scale degrees, with the numbers. And these numbers now represent any of the possible major scales. And so what you want to grasp, from this chart is that between 1 and 2, there's always a whole step. Between scale degree 2 and 3, there's always a whole step. Between scale degree 3 and 4, there's always a half step. You get where I'm going with this. And I like to think of this as the actual way, that the major scale works. Like I said before, these are kind of two sides of the same coin in that the major scale, the whole half is good on its own, but it's better understood with these numbers that kind of represent the notes that could be there. So to make more sense of this, why don't we throw our C major scale up here? And again, now we're going to start thinking of this scale in terms, instead of just the notes there, in terms of the numbers that each of these notes are attached to. So, my first note is a C. Scale degree 2 is D. Here's 3 is E, F, G, and so on and so forth, okay? Now, like I said, we could do this with any of the major scales. Here's our D major scale. Again, 7 unique notes. And now, it's changed a little bit. We've got D for scale degree 1, and we've got E for scale degree 2, and so on. And so remember, our C major scale sounded like this. Okay, our D major scale sounds like this. Sounds very similar. So what's the difference? So the difference is, obviously, I'm playing a different set of notes. I'm playing a D major scale, but what hasn't changed is the distance between each of those notes. So from 1 to 2, to 3, to 4, to 5, those distances are the same. This is true anywhere. Here's our B flat major scale. Okay, I'm playing a totally different set of notes, but the distance from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4, that remains the same. And so the way I think of this is our major scale is a movable formula. It can happen anywhere. So here's our C, C sharp, D, D sharp. You get the idea, okay? So as the last kind of piece of visual here, we can look at this on our piano. Here's our major scale, here's our C major scale, here's the scale degrees, and you want to think of the scale degrees in between each of them is that fixed distance that I was talking about. We can do the same thing with our D major scale. Here's the major scale formula, here's the scale degrees, okay, and in between those scale degrees are these exact distances that don't change. So this graphic here, this is the main thing I wanted you to get a hold of, and this is available for you in a download that I'm going to show you in a second. And what I want to say is this is how I want you to actually remember the major scale. It's good to remember whole half, whole half, but it's a more complete idea to think of it as between 1 and 2 is a whole, 2 to 3 is a whole, 3 to 4 is a half, 4 to 5 is a whole, and so on down the line. Okay, you want to remember it like this. The other thing, and this is just little bonus, little tip on how you want to remember this is you want to play these major scales and you want to start saying the scale degrees out loud. This is going to help you with a lot of different things. So here's what I mean. So grab your instrument, your guitar or mandolin or piano, whatever you want. This will work on any instrument. Find a note and go up a whole step, a half step, a whole step, another half step, whole step. Play your major scale. But what you're going to do is as you're playing it, you're going to number the notes. So here's note 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, back to 1. Okay? And even better if you can sing them. Okay? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. If you can do that and spend a little time practicing it like that, you're going to start to develop the musical instinct. And I'm always trying to get at that, right? We're looking at numbers on a screen, but I want you to make music. If you practice it that way, that's going to be a big step towards developing your musical instinct and actually becoming, a musician. You're going to start to hear those relationships. There's a certain sound between 1 and 2, from 2 to 3, 3 to 4, right? There's a certain sound, and you're going to start to kind of associate those relationships. And anyway, it will come over time, and I promise you, it's a lot more fun when you can know these concepts and then you can hear them as well. So last little thing here is the Nashville Numbers cheat sheet. This is a little document that I've made that has the major scale on there for you. This is a free download. It's on my blog. There's going to be a link in the description and then here on the video as well. And that's just a free resource to you. It's available in a JPEG or a PDF, so you can download that. It's a 8.5 by 11, so you can print it and enjoy a hard copy if you so desire. And with that, my friends, you are ready, I think, to check out part 2 in the series on chord progressions. And this is where the heart of Nashville Numbers actually happens. And then part 3 is going to be, how to apply this, and it gets a little more practical with lead sheets and that kind of thing. The other thing that I want to say at this point is, if you're new to music and new to music theory, the reason I made these in videos is so that you can go back and reference this stuff, and you can kind of take your time with it and pause it and kind of fiddle around with your instrument and do whatever you need to, which is something I wish I had when I was learning this. And I've taught guitar lessons and stuff over the years, and this is the way that I kind of wish I had the ability to do it beforehand. So I'm giving this to you to take at your own pace. And finally, if you like the video or don't like the video, leave the thumbs up, thumbs down. Subscribe if you want to see more stuff like this. I've got a lot more ideas I'm going to expand on with this. And then please leave me some comments. I love to hear from you guys. I kind of want to get in conversation with you. If you found this helpful, let me know. If you think something could have been clearer, or if I could have explained something better, just let me know in the comments section. We'll chat it up, and I'm committed to making the best possible content that I can for you guys. So love to hear from you. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I also hope to see you in the next one.